you my vote.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno. And good evening, everybody. It's another night of Sacramento Kings basketball back at home. The Los Angeles Clippers stepping into the G1C tonight. A lot of hype over that new arena. What about this team? Mostly James Harden. Also, no Kawhi Leonard. No surprise there. We're going to talk a lot about what this Clippers team does. And yes, this Clippers team kicked the wheels, blew the wheels off of the Kings in the final preseason game. That's all right. Kings back at full strength, predominantly. Kevin Huerter still feeling better, coming off of that upper respiratory infection. The big question for the Beam team tonight: can the bench get going? That is the question on everybody's mind. We've got it all for you on the other side. Complete coverage of the Kings Clips tonight on If You Don't Like That. Welcome in to the pregame show.
Late nights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away now. Kings in our blood, we ride strong and proud. Running up the score, Kings never back down. If you don't like that, this ain't your town.
So apparently this is becoming a thing on this show too. That's fine. What's up? How you doing, David?
Acknowledge me.
I'm acknowledging you. How you doing tonight, my friend? Kings, Clippers. We got it for you, coming to you from the G1C here in about roughly just under an hour. Get your questions, get your calls in right now. Would love to talk to you. You can call the show if you'd like. Use the QR code on the screen. Take a picture of that. Or you can hit the link that's in the chat. Either way, get you on the show. We'll be taking your questions, talking about this Clippers team 4-4 on the season, coming off of a victory, 110-98 over the 76ers, a game in which Clipper fan did this to Paul George at the Intuit Dome.
The fans had a fair reaction to you coming back. Does it bother you, though, at all that they booed you for large stretches of that game? Like after 5 years here?
I mean, it's stupid.
It's stupid. I don't disagree with him. What did Paul George do to LA other than sometimes not be available? He was a free agent. Come on, Clipper fan. Take it to all of those new bathrooms that you have at the Intuit Dome. It's a nice arena. It's a really nice arena. Not sure if any of you have been there, but maybe a little too modern for some of the old school basketball heads in this town. The G-Man was not happy about them being paperless. You got to give the G-Man his paper for his box scores, stats, etc. Anyways, the Kings coming in with some momentum. 2 games over 500, 2-1 at home. That's a good thing. Taking care of their business for the most part. And this starts a really difficult stretch of basketball for this team. 6.5 points. The Kings are favored by tonight. We're going to talk about the Clippers and their composition, what they do. I see your question, Dennis, about the rotation. I think that's actually a very interesting question coming into tonight. Also, James Harden, he has had the Kings number. James Harden has had the Kings number. Now, He either does nothing or he does everything. And on this young Clippers team without Kawhi Leonard right now, it's James Harden, Powell, Norman Powell, and really Zubac and a couple of other guys. Predominantly a young team, but they play a pretty big rotation, and they are athletic. They are very athletic, and surprisingly, actually not surprisingly, it was the big thing in the offseason. Jeff Van Gundy moving back to the coach's seat off of the ABC desk, and his big focus for this Clippers team as an assistant coach has been defense, and it shows. They are the 5th rated team per defensive rating in the NBA right now, only allowing 107.8 points to their opponent. So very similar in a sense to Toronto in that they can play some defense and you can't give them a lot of confidence. One thing this Clippers team does not do well is take care of the ball. They turn it over a ton. The Kings have struggled in the last couple of games to get out in transition and really bump up, get those fast break points up where Mike Brown wants them. But some interesting things we'll point out, we'll talk about, want to hear from all of you. What do you think about this matchup tonight? Let's get to the chat. Actually, first, let me remind you, we are brought to you by Bennetts West Side Grill in Rockland, the 3rd location here in the greater Sacramento area. Prime cuts of seafood and steak. You want a damn good piece of fish? Get to Bennett's. A steak, you can pick out the one that you want them to cook for you. They'll bring it out to the table. Also, this weekend, perfect time. Go get some weekend brunch. The Niners play at 10 a.m. on Sunday. You can get 2 entrees and a bottle of champagne for under $50. Go to BennettsRestaurants.com. You can look at all the menus, specials, and much more. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring the pregame show today for the Kings and the Clippers. Don't forget, halftime right back here. Jerry Reynolds will be with us. Remember, I was the only one that predicted the Kings would lose last game. Jerry and Grant had the faith that they would pull through, and they did ultimately in the 4th quarter. We've got some audio from shoot around this morning from Keon Ellis, who I think is going to be a huge part of what the Kings need to do tonight. And also Kevin Huerter. What's his role going to look like tonight? He's got a really difficult matchup in terms of defensively, and really he's the player that kind of changes what the Kings can do defensively against the Clippers. The Clippers play a ton of 4 out, 1 in, a lot of pick and roll. So we're going to talk about the nuances of that. I went back, watched the film over the last couple games, especially the Miami game. When Keon was on the floor, it enabled Fox to really get out and be sneaky. That's what Fox likes to do. He likes to be a little bit of a free safety and roam around, and that is what sparked that run, the 37-17 quarter in Miami, which was by far, to me, the best quarter of basketball we've seen the Kings play all season. Let's get to your comments really quick, and then we will continue breaking this down, listening to some sound from Shoot Around. Today, we already acknowledged David. Yes, David, you got acknowledged, my man. John Fitch needs some beam. John, do you need some purple beam or some gym beam? Which one do you need in your life, my man? Hello, Lydia. How you doing? Hope you are having a great evening. Having breakfast for dinner. Underrated. I'm okay with that. That is actually sometimes really good. Let's see. Can I get a hell yeah? I don't have a hell yeah for you, John. I got one of these. I can give you an LA night if that works okay. Dennis, okay. So really quick, you know what, Dennis? I'm going to come back to this because I want to get through these really quick. What are you looking forward to tonight, Ryan? I'm looking forward to the Kings' pressure defense. The key to what the Kings have done successfully over the past 2 games where they've turned the games in their favor has started with pressure defense. Tonight is the perfect night to bring that out. Keon Ellis talked about it actually after shoot around. And one of the big questions in Kingsland is like, we see these guys turn it on in the 3rd quarter. We see them turn it on in the 4th quarter. Why can't we see that right out of the gate? Why can't they just come out and punch their opponents in the mouth? Well, we've seen it a couple times. I think they did that against Minnesota in the first game of the season defensively. And tonight, you're going to need a similar effort like that. I want to see the Kings pick up almost 3/4 court, maybe even full court at times. And if you need to do frequent substitutions on the guard line, then do it. You've got the guys that can play that can be pests. Get in James Harden's head. Do not let one of these role players. Now, the Clippers, Norman Powell, a lot of people around the Clippers are saying they're trying to merge him into a pseudo Paul George, trying to get him back into that style where it's Powell and Harden. Well, Powell is no Paul George, but he is definitely a very good player. He's put up double digits a couple nights in a row. And in fact, in their last win, he had 26 points. So you got to watch out for him. So I am guarding the two of them very carefully, pushing them off the line. Also, you got to find a way to create some space for Sabonis to operate tonight, whether that means getting him going downhill, be creative with it. You got to make up for that length that Zubac has, and it's bothered Sabonis, quite frankly, in the past. So I'm looking forward to the little things like that. Those are things that we should be able to see right out of the gate. Sabonis saying how much you appreciated only playing 34 minutes last night. Yeah, he did talk about that a couple of games ago. John's going grilled pork chops. Appreciate it. Frog, what is up? The Kings have 2 of the top 10 steal leaders in their starting lineup. They do indeed. Good point by you, my friend. I am having, Lydia's putting her menu in. See, we just go over the food here too. It's just a big food buffet. What's everybody having? No more zone defense. Interesting point, Romanowski. Luke Laux and Coach Brown talked about this at the beginning of the road trip, because Luke Laux, if you don't know, has taken over the defense for the Kings. He is the Kings' pseudo defensive coordinator, and he's tweaked the zone that they run, and at times he's turning it into a zone press. We saw a ton of that in Atlanta, and I know a lot of you did not like it. Coach Brown is on record as saying some of the rotations, some of the traps make the hair on his neck stand up because you're leaving guys wide open. But I am with you tonight. I don't think there's any reason to be playing zone, but I do think in a perfect world tonight, Keon Ellis is going to get over. I would hope Keon plays over 25 minutes tonight. I'll explain a little bit more here in a little bit. Pressure defense, agree. That's one of the keys to the game. You got to have more. You got to have 2 more. I have 2 more. I'll give you 2 more. Don't worry. They are coming. All right, let's get back up to Dennis's question, because I think he hits the nail right on the head. I think a lot is going to depend on what Coach Brown does with the rotation tonight. Now, we've seen pretty much the rotation be Keon, Malik right off the bench, first 2 subs. Then you get Trey in there. Sometimes you'll get a mix in of Alex Len here and there, some Jordan McLaughlin. We've seen Doug sparingly. We've seen Colby in situations for like 30 seconds at the end of the quarter. So I'm ruling him out. But if I'm Coach Brown tonight, I am going to be very hesitant about what I'm doing defensively with my rotations, especially because the Clippers are so good at spreading you out. The Clippers are going to put 4 around the top of the key with James Harden with the ball. They're going to have Zubac down low, and they're going to try to run pick and roll all over the damn court. They will start it from 5, 6, 7 feet beyond the 3-point line to give that space, right? And to me, this is where Keon Ellis is meant for the NBA. This is where Keon Ellis, when I thought in the offseason he would be the best candidate to be the starting 2 guard, it's games like this, because what Keon Ellis is able to do with Fox on the perimeter, guarding with the switching, the hedging, all that goes into it, the straight line drives. Kevin Huerter, I don't want to be disrespectful whatsoever to him, because his defense has been pretty damn good this season so far. He's been great at getting his hands in the passing lanes, deflections. The one thing he is still struggling at, though, is straight line drives. And tonight, that is what the Clippers want to do. They want straight line drives. So I am looking at that rotation. Does Coach Brown go quicker to Keon Ellis tonight in that first unit or in that first rotation, bringing Kevin out, because the other thing that happens when you have Keon on the floor instead of Kevin is you can put Keon on the lead guard. You can put Keon on Harden. If Kevin Huerter's on the floor, you've probably got DeAaron Fox on Harden. I don't see a world where you're going to put Kevin Huerter on James Harden. And so that is just not a good matchup for the Kings. You're actually taking Fox out of his best situational basketball defensively, asking him to guard the number one guard on the team. You want Fox off that guy. You want Fox kind of playing, hanging off, playing center field, looking at that read between the guy with the ball, which is going to be your lead guard, and the roller, the weak side, all of that. So I'm looking at that rotation, and then I'm also looking to see if Coach gives us a little bit more Jordan McLaughlin. He has not played great. He didn't play particularly great, although not that much last game. He did come in, though, and provide some decent minutes against Miami. I thought in the second quarter when Coach brought Jordan McLaughlin in, that was what gave the Kings a little bit of a spark. Even though it didn't take them over the top, it sparked them a little bit. Now, the flip side of that is Jordan seems to be all over the floor at times. And I mean like on the floor, all over it. Like he can't stay up. So offensively, you lose something there. But defensively, I think you gain something. And the key to throwing off a guy like James Harden, a guy like Norman Powell, the key to throwing them off is throwing different looks at them constantly, which means a fresh body. Hell, you can throw some Keegan on him at times as well. Because as I look at what James Harden has done to the Kings in his career, now granted, these are small sample sizes because of games played each year. But I'm going to throw some numbers at you. In 2014, 2015, Harden averaged 40.3 points against the Kings that season. In the regular season. How about 31 points in 1920? How about only 16.8 last year with the Clippers? The year before that, 21.9, 30.3, 27.5, 39, 31. So what I'm telling you is this guy's either going to have a big game or the Kings are going to be able to shut him down. And a lot of that is going to depend on how the Kings come out and pressure them right off the bat. You think DeAaron Fox doesn't like the pressure, especially full court? I can promise you James Harden doesn't want that either. Now, the problem with James Harden is he has a little DeMar DeRozan in him. He is so crafty when it comes to drawing fouls with the pump fakes, the little subtle things that you only, or I should say the greats, only learn and don't teach to others over time playing in the NBA. So the Kings got to stay on their feet. They've got to be grounded. If I hear Mark Jones say one more time tonight, puts Malik Monk on a flight, puts Keon Ellis on a flight, then the Kings are going to be in trouble. Oh, God, so annoying. Anyways, what am I looking forward to? We got to that. James is so good. Yeah, sometimes. In fact, let's put up the stats of what they did last game so you can look at that as we continue breaking this one down. Kings and the Clippers from the G1C tonight. Remember, Jerry Reynolds here at halftime with us. Looking forward to having him on. And then post-game, we will be taking all of your calls. Even you. Hey, Peaches Johnson, if you're out there, we'll take your call too, Peaches. Pretty sure I knew who Peaches was. But anyways, let's put the stats up for you to look at. I'm getting used to this whole screen share thing. It's new to me. So here we go. Here is what the Clips did last game against the 76ers. There's your box score. We don't need any sound. And then we will go back to the chat here in just a couple of minutes and talk about it. Again, your Kings, 6.5-point favorites tonight. Injuries the same. No Orlando Robinson, no Devin Carter, no Kawhi Leonard, obviously, for the Clips in this one. Let's see. Bunch of foodies. Yes, we have a ton of foodies in this group. Hopefully it will be a blowout like what the Cavs are doing to the Warriors. Yeah, I have not checked the scores, Hang. I was going to run those down here in a little bit. The Warriors have been playing great basketball. We have chronicled that over, hotter than fish oil. You know, I wrote one down. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make this about Mark Jones, but it's getting a little bit out of hand. What did he say at a timeout? He said, Mike Brown, here we go. Here's the quote. Mike Brown looks, let's see. Mike Brown's busted, disgusted, and not to be trusted. What? Coach Brown just called a timeout because he didn't like the way the game was going. It just feels like a forum for him to fly off with his one-liners and try them out, even though he never uses them on national TV ever. Completely different on national TV. In fact, I think he talks down to this audience with all the use of the big words, and it's pretentious to me. Anyways, Peaches is getting some love now. You do like Mark Jones. Great. Don't understand the hate here. Fair enough, Edward. You like Mark Jones. Everybody's style is different. And I understand that we're grading on a curve because we're coming from Grant and Jerry. Nobody will ever live up, in my opinion, in my lifetime to Grant and Jerry. But I can't do it. There's just too much for me there. Zubac having a good season. Yeah, Romanowski, he is having a pretty good season. He's one of those guys that really, in a way, makes the Clippers go. He gives them second chances, third chances. In fact, the Clippers, why I said pressure defense was so important to what the Kings do tonight, it's because of this. They turn the ball over so much. They are 27th in the NBA in turnovers. So if the Kings turnover numbers are anywhere near the Clippers tonight, you are going to have a problem if you are Sacramento. The Kings fifth in the NBA in steals too. So look at how those two things go together. So, and part of the reason, again, you look at the majority of the steals that DeAaron Fox is getting, a lot of them are when he's on the floor with Keon and Malik Monk. Makes a big difference for him, puts him in a different position. So defense, second opportunities for the Clippers. You can't give them up. Remember how many offensive rebounds the Kings gave up in the first meeting in the preseason? It was far too many. Free throw percentage, 28th in the NBA for the Clippers. They are not good free throw shooters. I could keep going. Turnovers, I already told you, 27th. They're only 22nd in the NBA in scoring at 109.0 a game. So there's lots of places to be able to capitalize on this team. You look at the three-point percentage, they are 12th in the NBA. One of my worries for the Kings is the amount of three-pointers that they are giving up to their opponents. Coming into last game, 39.7 per game. That is a ton of threes. It's going to be really hard to run James Harden off of the three-point line because he's so good at getting there and staying there. But what you got to do is run off the role players. This is not a game where you want Nicholas Batum shooting a ton of corner threes because he's one of those guys that has lit the Kings up in the past. What about Amir Coffey? He's a heck of a player. The Clippers think that he can do a lot to make this team better. What I'm saying is they've got a ton of young pieces that haven't played a ton of NBA basketball, kind of like Toronto. You've got a bunch of guys in Toronto that are getting an opportunity to get minutes right now. So as each game goes on, their confidence continues growing. In fact, let's throw the team stats up from last game for you so you can look at those as well. And then we will look at the Kings season stats. Here are the team stats for the Clips and the 76ers last game. Give you a little insight into what they did. But you've got guys that their confidence is growing by the day, but they're still learning how to play with James Harden. Law Murray, who is the staff writer, the Clippers staff writer for The Athletic, he was going to come in before the preseason game and join the show to talk about the Clippers and what they're looking to do this season and the matchup against the Kings. He covers them great. And he had put out a couple videos of Harden working with the young guys, trying to get that pick and roll on point, trying to show them the nuances of it, because you look at the composition of this roster, it's fairly young. Now, Terrence Mann, he's a guy that's either going to give you a lot or not give you very much. You look, he only had 7 points against the Sixers, but there are high hopes for him. I wouldn't say a poor man's Malik Monk quite yet, but the Clippers view him as somebody that could be explosive like a Malik Monk. So you've got to be careful with this team. And again, it all starts with the defense and the pressure. Now, conversely, defensively, I'm not sure the Clippers will pick up the Kings full court. I'm not 100% sure that's going to happen, but here's what I do know. The Kings made a concerted effort last game to keep the ball out of DeAaron Fox's hands in terms of bringing it up. Now, does that mess with DeAaron's flow or not? Who knows? We need to see a little bit more time. Now, last year, we know he didn't play as great, and he didn't have the ball in his hands nearly as much as he did in 22-23. So it's something to pay attention to. But what can DeAaron do to handle the pressure? Can he keep getting to the line? He shot double-digit free throws last game. Awesome. That 3-ball continues to be a struggle. We've now seen a couple games where he has not shot it very well. In fact, he had a career worst in Toronto, 0 for 11 from beyond the arc. So paying attention to that finger, paying attention to how the Kings handle the pressure and how they can still, if you don't have DeAaron Fox bringing the ball up, what can you still do to get him moving downhill? Because when this Kings offense is moving downhill, it is very, very hard to stop. Very hard to stop. Conversely, if you get them to stand still, very easy to stop. So let's get back to the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying about it as well. I disagree. I respect the hell out of Kyle Draper. I think he does a really good job, and I respect what he has been through in the fact that he has been so public about that. So nothing but love for Drapes, which is really funny, though, because going back to last season, so many people thought there was a beef between me and Drapes. There's not that I know of, at least not on my end. I mean, I know he's taken a couple shots here and there at me, but no, I like Drapes. In fact, when he came out and talked about his sobriety, I called his show just to say, hey, Drapes, I really respect what you're doing. Thank you. Because I did have people reach out to me that have been through that similar struggle. And as an NBA broadcaster, to come out and say that publicly, it's a big thing, man. That empowers other people that feel like they can't talk about their struggles to possibly, be able to share those and be more open. So I got no problem with Drapes, my man. But fair enough. We all have our preferences when it comes to announcing. We need entertaining announcers. Interesting. Fair enough. BJ, what's up, dude? He's liked by the mainstream do-gooders. He's a joke, Edward. Extremely corny. He'll never be be a third of the redheaded stepchild of Sucktown. Damn. For those that don't know, BJ goes back in the Jim Rome days. Old school Jim Rome. He got glossed as, what was it? The Velociraptor of Sucktown? BJ? It was something like that. So that is why BJ says Sucktown. He doesn't really think Sacramento is Sucktown. It's a gloss. Anyways, here is Keon Ellis talking about the Clippers after shoot-around today.
I think they're still a high-level team. You have a guy like James Harden who brings a lot of attention to our defense. So kind of have to be under He's a great passer. Obviously he's going to score the ball. So on the ball, your antennas are high, but he's also able to spread the ball, find his teammates, and so kind of got to limit him. Not let him get going, not let him get some easy ones, so that way we can kind of get off to a great start, set the tone for the night.
And what's really interesting, and that was Keon talking about James Harden, is Keon said after shoot-around, he's like, I don't think I've really ever matched up with James Harden. So watch for that. That's going to be a fun matchup to me. Keon also talking about the Kings being able to bring the energy right out of the gate. And is it sustainable for 48 minutes? Here's what he had to say.
But I think we know what type of disruption we can cause in the defensive end. And I think you just try to carry that throughout the length of the whole game. Obviously, it is a little more tiring because you have to have more energy to do that. So, but just trying to do that throughout the game so you kind of get things away early.
And that's what I want to see. I want to see it early. I think that's important. This team should not need DeMar DeRozan to rip into him at halftime like he did in Miami. This team should be pulling it together a little bit better there. Let's see. Good question here from Christian. Do I think the Kings team now ironically relies too much on free throws? Absolutely not. No, I do not, Christian. It's been beautiful. My coach in college had a rule. If you make more free throws than the other team takes, meaning you make more than their attempt number, you win most basketball games. And there's been a few times the Kings have done that this season. The free throws, I talked about this. If you've been with the Kings court since the offseason and when it started, and all the questions were coming in, where's the focus this offseason? What are you hearing, Ryan? And I told everybody, I've said it here, I've said it on King's Court, I've said it on If You Don't Like That. One of the big focuses in the offseason for this team was fixing the controllables, the things that they can control. Because too many times last year, the Kings beat the Kings, Christian. They didn't even focus on the other team. They had to focus on beating themselves first. And so you saw that with free throws. They've talked about it a ton on the broadcast, how DeAaron's been taking only free throws after movement with Luke Laux in the summer. The Kings work this stuff day in and day out individually. And so the fact that the percentage is up, the fact that the attempts are up, the attempts, by the way, are largely in part because of DeMar DeRozan. He is a freaking magician when it comes to getting calls. Some of the calls, when I go back and watch games, I'm like, I have to watch it 3 or 4 times to see what the ref called. And more times than not, the foul is there. He is just so good at the technical side of basketball. It's incredible. So no, the free throws only help. They do not hurt. And there's a lot more that goes into that too. It allows you to set your defense, gives guys a little bit of a breather, gives you the opportunity for a second chance rebound or a second chance point if you miss the free throw. A lot of good stuff. I don't see the negatives to it. Drapes is a cool dude. Edward says, BJ, hey, bro, what's your take on punishing Harden on offense? Run his earth. Is that what you were looking for? BJ was looking for earth around and throw him a couple of times. Absolutely. Well, and here's the other thing. You have to absolutely make this team work on defense. Don't give them the night off defensively. Do not do that if you're the Kings. Swing the ball around. You are spot on, BJ. You can get Harden tired. You could get any of them tired. When the Kings move the ball, it is very, very hard to defend at times, and it makes the offensive side of the court much harder as well. Speaking of the Velociraptor of Sucktown, what's up, dude? BJ.
What? How are you, my man? I just got back in town. I'm looking forward to trying to watch this game on a couple of different apps. I come from the old school, and my college coach used to say, okay, whoever the best offensive player is, and whoever that best offensive player on the opposite team is guarding our team, it is up to him or multiple people to run his ass into the ground. Like run him. And if you're going to get fouls, if the best player is guarding you, you get fouls on offense. There are charges, you're running through him, you're boxing him out hard, you're punishing him when he's playing defense. Because come time in the third quarter, fourth quarter, he's a little bit more, not only is he wore down, but psychologically, and this is the thing about the Kings, if you want to take it to the next level and culturally, for an identity, you have to lay people on their ass and make them feel it. And I would really like to see some of the guys that come off the bench use their fouls. Use their fouls and be aggressive, crash the boards. I mean, it's like, why not be physical and throw your body around offensively? We know that we have a bunch of shooters. I think it's okay to use your fouls in that way. My next point is free throws. My coach also used to say that if we're making more free throws than they're attempting, not only are we getting our rhythm, but we can gather our thoughts and we can kind of like collectively get into a mental rhythm, also a physical rhythm. A lot of people don't realize it's all about rhythm. It's all about timing. You cannot rely more on a free throw line to gather mental and physical thoughts. So anyways, I will maybe see you guys afterwards. I love you, love the show, and keep rocking it, my man.
Love you too, brother. Great call. Good stuff from BJ. Hopefully he doesn't need the fur coat later tonight. He had to bust out the fur. Everything he said, very true. I do not disagree with any of it. I go back to the battle of the threes tonight, and I see some questions in the chat about the threes. The Kings are 27th in the NBA at allowing their opponents, or the Kings are how do I put this? They are 27th in the NBA at guarding the three-pointer. This is a Clippers team that is going to want to shoot threes. You have got to be better from the three-point line, and you've got to close out with a hand up. You can absolutely not give straight line drives off of that three ball. You've got to shut that down and not let this team get some confidence. 27th in the NBA, not good at all. 25th in the NBA at allowing the amount of three-point attempts. The Kings, again, are allowing, they are allowing 38.3 three-pointers per game. Too many. So agree with you, Lids. David, do I think this team looks more balanced than last year? Yes, I do. I do think they look more balanced. I think we all forget, too. We're still early into this thing. So we don't have a big enough sample size to judge them, but the numbers so far are bearing out. Now, where the balance isn't there sometimes with this team is this offense theoretically is circled around rhythm, flow, reads, your teammates. And I think, unfortunately, some guys are not being included in the rhythm of the offensive game. Now, it doesn't mean they're getting bad shots, doesn't mean that they're not getting shots, but they're not in the rhythm. They're not touching the ball. They're not passing it around. And then maybe every fifth or sixth trip up the court, they get a wide open shot and they miss it. And I think partially that's why the 3-point percentage is down. The ball has energy. It travels, and it makes a huge difference. You can give me the argument all day, and I agree with it. They're professionals. You got to be able to knock down an open shot. But it's different taking an open shot when you haven't touched the ball in 6 possessions versus taking an open shot when you've been passing the ball around. Even if you haven't shot up until that open shot, if you're passing the ball, touching the ball, in the rhythm with the rest of your teammates, it makes a big difference. So that's what I'm looking at. And Coach Brown, by the way, here's what I would say. Coach Brown, you will see, and you'll probably see it tonight, because we have seen it almost every game that Kevin Huerter has played in this season. Right out of the gates, the Kings are running a set play. They're doing the double staggered down screens and bringing Kevin off of it. He's curling off of it, and most times he gets a three-pointer near the top of the key or kind of at the wing. Coach Brown needs to mix in more of those plays throughout the quarter for guys like Keegan Murray when they're not touching the ball. Guys like Kevin a little bit more, but Kevin's been good about scoring and staying in the flow. Coach has got to make sure to be cognizant of getting those guys in that rhythm. Even if DeMar's cooking, even if DeMar's doing his ISO thing. And the Kings have been a little bit better, and DeMar's been a little bit better passing out of the ISO, because you can see the defense shifts immediately when DeMar starts to go to work. So the Kings have been better about not standing around and watching. Still needs to improve. But yes, the balance compared to last year on both sides of the ball, much different and much better. BJ getting some love. Boots with the fur. Bane, now you got me singing, my man. Come on, Bane. No, Bane's good people. Appreciate you, Bane. Let's see. Edward, according to StatMuse, Kings rate 6th in defense and 6th in offense. Well, I can tell you right now. In fact, we can put it up for you right here where the Kings are at. Let me go back to my stat share, and you guys can have a little look on your own. See, now I'm getting used to doing this, so you just got to give me 2 seconds. Here we go. All right. Stat share, where are you? Kings and the Clippers tonight. Here we go. There you go. There are the stat shares for you. So the Kings right now, they are 5th in points in the NBA. That's where they wanted to be. Remember, Monty McNair and Coach Brown wanted this team to be 5th or around the top 5 in pace. They are 12th right now in that defensive rating. They are 5th in the NBA and or 11th in the NBA, excuse me. Offensive rating, they are 5th. Now, here's the big thing. Let me make sure this is updated for you. Make sure that there's no flaws here. Yep, no flaws. So here's the big thing that I'm looking at. It is the net rating. Last year, the Kings, their net rating never got above 1.6, 1.7 for any sustained period of time. Okay. The Kings net rating right now, pretty good. Pretty darn good. 5.7. Now, the teams towards the top of the Western Conference, Golden State, 15.8 coming into tonight. Oklahoma City, 15. That probably will not stick. But the top of the Eastern Conference, to give you a reference point, 11.7 for Boston, plus 11.7. Cleveland, plus 12.6. So 5.6 is a vast difference for the Sacramento Kings. And that is a stat, the net rating, it's a stat that does not lie. That is a stat that gives you a true reading on whether a team is good, bad, okay, great, and small sample size. But the fact that the Kings number has stayed consistent between 4.3 and where it's at now in the 5s, it's a big thing. That is a big thing. So I'm looking at that more than I'm looking at offensive rating, defensive rating. I'm looking at their net rating, and all of you should too. That is what Jerry Reynolds looks at all the time. Let's get the Kings numbers up here while we continue to take some questions and get you ready for the Kings and the Clippers coming up here in just a little bit from the G1C. You can see what the Kings are doing on the season right here. You got their numbers and the individual numbers as well. 85.3% from the free throw line. Got to be proud of that if you are Mike Brown and the coaching staff. Also, I need to get your final scores. What do you think the final score is going to be tonight? Let me know, because we're going to get ready to get out of here in just a little bit. Also, the only way that you should be celebrating a beam tonight is getting brunch in the morning at Bennetts. All 3 of their locations, weekend brunch. You cannot go wrong, especially on Sundays. You got a Niners game, 10 in the morning. Go get some brunch. Let the wife have some mimosas. You can get 2 entrees and a bottle of champagne for under $50. You've got prime rib all weekend long. Same great menu, prime cuts of seafood and steak at dinner. Happy hour 2 to 6 Monday through Friday. There's sips and tastes, and they've got 60, count them, 60 different wines by the glass. Also at BennettsRestaurants.com, they are now accepting to-go orders right there on the website. Huge thanks to Brian, Margo, and the entire team at Bennetts for sponsoring the pregame show. And do us a favor, when you go in and try it out, let them know that you heard about them here on If You Don't Like That. We would greatly appreciate it. Give me your final scores. Let's get John Finch in here really quick. Finchy, what's up, dude?
Ryan, how are you, buddy?
Doing good, bud.
Hey, man, we're getting ready to light the beam, but right now, I just wanted to make sure you know that we got the small steaks on. I got some pork chops going on, and definitely asparagus, my brother. It's happening, my friend.
Hey, John,
we're lighting the beam tonight. We're lighting the beam tonight. The one thing that, listen, go on, Ryan.
Did you see that there's somebody on the channel with a screen name of Mr. Asparagus?
I did. Do you know who that is?
I thought maybe it was your burner account, dude.
Hey, man, I'm live to you, brother. Everything I do, it's straight up with you, all right? I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna lie to all our friends. If it was me, I would say it, but it is not me. But I wanna meet him and see how seriously. I mean, what are they cooking tonight?
We will see. We'll ask Mr. Asparagus really quick, Finchy, because we got to get out. What's your final score for tonight?
Tonight, I'm going 118, 111, probably something like that. Not unless it goes overtime. I'm thinking 118, 111 is realistic. The one thing I want to see, though, I want to see DeAaron Fox, man. He plays better when somebody pisses him off, almost like you get under his go. Oh, really? You did that? Now it's time to go. You know, that's what we need. We don't, when he's all happy and nonchalant and he doesn't give a shit and he's friends with everybody, that's fine after the game when you're going to dinner. But man, during the game, I love it when somebody pisses him off because something comes out on him that, man, the Kings need. It's something that a lot of the great ones have and have had. Jordan, Magic, name them all. Bird, go back decades and decades and decades. There's a spark to him when he gets pissed off. And not playing angry, but playing with a chip on his shoulder. That's what we need from DeAaron. That's what we need from him, in my opinion.
I agree with you, Finchy.
And I'm ready.
Good stuff, dude. Enjoy the grill. We'll see you at halftime and postgame. Light the beam, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, brother.
Good job by John. I am just seeing this right now. That is terrible. Brian Wheeler passed away. Holy crap. Radio voice for the Timberwolves. 63? Wow. Wow. Grant. We'll definitely have something to say about that. I'm sure Grant knew him. I know his voice. What a terrible loss for the Blazers and the NBA. I am so sorry to hear that. Of course, Haunted Horse in on that. He is from Portland. Hate to end on a sad note. More on that as the night goes along. BJ, scores coming in. You guys get your scores in. Yes, Asparagus. Let's see. Another Haunted Horse putting a score in. Watch this guy hit it. Lydia 111, 110. Okay. Bane, Furious, James the Beard, Harden. Ugh, I know, right? What's up, Wolf? All right. So very sad indeed. Hate that we're seeing that right now. Breaking about 24 minutes ago. Wow. Decades long voice of the Portland Trailblazers. Terrible. More on that with Grant and Jerry at halftime. Make sure you come back and join us at the half. We would love to hear from you also after the game on the post-game show. This one getting ready to tip off from the Sacramento home, the Golden One Center, Kings and the Clippers. Thanks for being here. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you have not subscribed already, appreciate each and every one of you. Enjoy this Friday night of Sacramento Kings basketball. Remember, pressure. Turnovers. The Kings cannot turn the ball over. They have to limit their turnovers, but also the pressure and force the turnovers on the Clippers. They are 27th in the NBA at turning the ball over. They are terrible at it. So make it happen. Expect a lot of Keon Ellis minutes tonight would be my guess. And just come out with that fire that this team has played with at different points, especially like that third quarter in Miami. All right, y'all, we are getting out. Don't forget halftime right back here. And then post game tonight, we are taking your calls. So make sure that you come back right after the game. But before that, Jerry Reynolds in 24 minutes. Go Kings, light the damn beam. We will see you at the half.